If you want to know the real key to manifestation and the only thing that you need to do in order to experience your true desires, if you want answers, if you're tired of watching endless content, if you want to be the you that has your desires and actually start experiencing it in your 3D, then you're going to want to watch this video. Hello, my fellow flawless, limitless, sexy, sassy, saucy HBICs. How are you on this lovely morning, afternoon, or evening? How are you all? Hello, if you are new, what's an HBIC? It is the head bitch in charge of your reality. Or boy, badass, boss. You get to choose what that B word actually means, but I like biatch, right? If you're new here, if I just had to explain to you what an HBIC is, then you need to subscribe and come back and see me. Because if you're here, that means that you are interested in manifesting something. You're interested in real change in your life. And this video, honestly, is going to be the only video you ever need to watch ever again. So let me start with some basic bitch. If you need help figuring out what's going on between you and your manifestation, please feel free to email me at manifestingwithKimberly@gmail.com. All of my coaching options, they're in the drop box below. They were in the screens that just went by. I have 2 channel memberships where I go live with my channel members twice a week, every week, for your choosings. Yeah, I give you options. One of the options is my hot seat / group coaching. I go live with them every single Friday at 9 a.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time. That is the group that you can get yourself into the hot seat and ask me anything you would like about your current circumstances or anything regarding manifestation. If you join that group, you actually have access to both the groups. And by both, I mean my other channel membership as well. It's called the Exclusive Lives Coaching. That is the group that I go live with them on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time. And all we do in that group is we share success stories. We share tips and tricks. And by success stories, I mean every single Tuesday, every time we have a group meeting, there are success stories to share. The peeps in this group are getting what they want. So if you're looking for a zhuzh, if you're looking for something that keeps you on your journey and keeps you motivated and making new decisions for yourself, you're gonna wanna join that group. But again, if you join the hot seat group, you have access to both, okay? I have TikTok, I have Instagram. If you're enjoying this sexy, sassy, saucy personality of mine, you might wanna come over to my other channel, which is called Kimberly's Other Life. The link for that is in the drop box below. Come over and join me there, okay? And thank you to everyone who already has. But that's where you get just, to get to know me better and hang out with me a little more. And let's be friends. Leave me comments, okay? So enough of this. Let's get into the video. So I know the title is a little specific, and it's really daring to claim that this is the real, Da Vinci Code, or the real breaking out of the matrix, the real key, the real skeleton key to manifestation, breaking out of your subconsciousness, yes? Breaking out of this and really being able to experience absolutely anything you desire. It's actually really simple. And it's not another basic bitch technique, right? There are tons of videos on techniques. This isn't a technique because you don't need the technique. The magic of manifestation isn't in the technique. The magic of manifestation is the realizing who you are and therefore directing where your focus goes, utilizing the imagination. The magic is there. Your imagination is the magic. And it's completely because of who you are. And for some of you, if you're new to manifesting, I get it. These are a lot of like wackadoodle sounding concepts. Okay, I understand. But who you are is pure, unadulterated consciousness. You are the I am. And your I am is God or universe or higher power, source energy or moonbeams, whatever you personally believe in. That is the magic inside of you. And if you are tired of living a miserable existence, or maybe just an existence of, life isn't too bad, but you're not completely satisfied. There's some things you'd like to experience, like being a multimillionaire or manifesting a specific person, bringing love to your 3D. Maybe that's where your mind is. So if you're not fulfilled in your 3D, the only reason why you're not is because of who you currently identify as. We, as humans, have been conditioned to believe that this meat sack, right, this meat suit is all there is. And our belief in the who we are is all there is, meaning there's no changing it, right? I'm Kimberly, that's it. I'm this person. I've had these life experiences. These experiences have led me to the who I am right now. And life happens to you, right? I didn't have choices. Life just happened to me. Every single one of us has been conditioned to believe that. And we have been running our lives by that conditioning. This is where we break out of the matrix, because none of that is true. All you need to do is change self. And I know that's a catchphrase around here, nothing to change but self. But some of us don't take that very seriously. And we think that if we affirm our 1,000,000 affirmations or visualize our 10,000 visuals, as long as we set our alarm and do our manifestation technique, that's good. That's enough. And that's all we have to do. And now we can sit back and wait for it to show up. That's not manifesting. Manifesting is changing who you are. It's changing self. It's making a new choice for yourself. Doing a technique, but still identifying as the same self that got you here, the same self that manifested, maybe we have some circumstances we don't like. So that same self that manifested your breakup, or you not having enough money, you being negative in your checking account, or you currently having a disease, or some semblance of a sickness, or just having something about our appearance that we don't love. That self that manifested the things we don't like, doing your manifestation techniques, but staying as the same self, keeping the same identity. And by identity, I mean version of self or the same state of consciousness. If we are never making that conscious decision to change this, your 3D is not going to change the way you want it to. And I don't say that to scare you or to sound limited. I'm saying it to get your head out of your ass. And I mean that from love. And obviously, I'm inspired to do this video because I only record inspired content. I only record when I am receiving a download or I feel a zhuzh. That's how I run my channel. I don't prepare things. I don't plan ahead of time. I go completely on what comes to mind. And this was something that came up in our channel membership last night, because today's Wednesday. So we had our exclusive lives coaching group last night. And it is so heavy on my mind. So I know this message, if you're watching this video, is meant for you today. There are no coincidences. So this didn't pop up. And again, if you're new here and this is the first time you've ever seen a video by me and this popped up on your For You page and you made the decision to click on it, it's meant for you. You're meant to watch this. If we never make the conscious decision to be new self, and for what it's worth, manifestation techniques, the entire purpose of manifestation techniques are to help you change self. But most of us, we do this ass backwards. So for example, if we're manifesting a specific person and we are affirming that this person loves us, this person loves being in a relationship with us, but we never, ever choose to be or identify as a person worth having a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. If we're staying in the old identity of we're not good enough, love never really works out for us, I'm afraid if I manifest this person, they're going to leave me again. If we don't change the identity, the who we are being, we aren't changing. So therefore, the 3D can't change. We have to be new. We have to be our new selves. And allowing yourself to even just entertain the thought of, I can change who I identify as. That can be your amazing first step. That can be your very important first step. You see, sometimes when we learn about states of consciousness, we read, any Neville Goddard book or any other manifestation book, we hear that phrase, wish fulfilled, got to get in the wish fulfilled, got to be in the state of the wish fulfilled. And although, yeah, that's true. Well, some of us believe that we have to go straight to that, and if we don't get there, we're not going to get anywhere else. That's not true. You can choose any version of self. So if you're someone struggling to believe in manifestation, struggling to actually realize and understand that you need to change self, or you find it difficult to switch states, or you're having a hard time with a ton of doubtful thoughts, our new self can be the version of ourselves that understands, accepts, applies, believes, trusts in manifestation. We can start in a state that is really right next door to the wish fulfilled, or even further down the line. So in other words, you don't have to have the pressure of making yourself feel like you have to stay in one particular state of consciousness at all times in order to get your manifestation. We can baby step our way there. I call it crawling to the wish fulfilled, crawling to the next state. So if we're struggling and we know that we are so hyper-focused on our 3D and all the things that aren't changing, aren't getting better, we can allow ourselves to begin identifying as the version of self that always knows the right thing to do, always knows the next move for their manifestation, the version of self that gets downloads on what steps to take to get their desire. The self that completely understands manifestation and finds it easy to switch states or to be no self. We can go there. And when you get to that state, your whole perception of things is going to change. And we move on from there. That, truthfully, this change self, changing identity, is the only thing you need to know about manifestation to completely change your life. It's the only thing. It doesn't matter if you learn every damn technique. Those techniques will not help you unless you are deciding to change yourself. This initially came up in my group last night because it was on me. In other words, I got a zhuzh and I'm feeling it again. So this is going to call some of you out. You can affirm, you can visualize, you can script, you can do your inner conversations all damn day long. But if you are refusing to break the habits of your old self, you're not changing, and therefore you're not going to manifest what you want. An example of that is if you are manifesting a specific person, and perhaps this is someone that you already have some semblance of a knowing of, as in you've had some relationship with this person before, but this applies to all. And because of that, you have access to their social media. And if you are still finding it necessary, or you find yourself called to check their social media every day, and you're checking to see who their new friends are, what posts they've put hearts on, what comments they've left. If you're still doing that, you're not changing self. You're staying married to the self that created this mess of not having your desire, your person. We have to be willing to let the old habits go. It's what Neville referred to as letting the old man die. And the old man is your old state of consciousness, or the old version of self. We have to be willing. You cannot be in two states at once. You cannot be two versions of self at once. If you're sincerely serious about changing your life, really living that true, fulfilled, full of joy and happiness existence, full of love experiences with your specific person, full of experiences of not worrying about money and knowing you can easily pay all your bills and spoil yourself with all sorts of different things. If you're like me, luxury handbags and accessories, or buying a home, buying a luxury car. If you're really serious about these changes, changing your appearance, changing your health, being the healthy version of self, if you're serious about all of this, you have to be willing to let old self die. Let it go. So that means old habits have to go. You cannot fool yourself and think that you are doing all your manifestation techniques, but then still doing shit out here in the 3D that your new self would never do, and you know that. It's come to your mind, so you know it. You know you're making that conscious decision to keep up old habits. You are refusing to change. You are refusing to be new self. And even though in your heart you think, I really do want to be new self, then you would be willing to let all that old shit go. Some of you just got called out and you know it. And I'm not judging you. I don't care what you do. It's your reality. You do what you want. But because I was that person too. That's who I was in the beginning of my journey. I was someone who was always doing their manifestation techniques. And then soon as I was done with that, and as soon as I was done with my manifestation technique, I'd go right back to old self, being heavily attached to my 3D and being triggered anytime my specific person farted sideways. I would lose it daily. I wasn't changing self. I wasn't changing self. I was trying to forcefully change specific person. But that was never going to happen until I changed self. Till I changed self. So are you being honest with yourself? Because I promise you, you will not outrun self. You're not going to fool your consciousness. Now, what I'm not saying is you can never have a doubtful thought. No. You're going to have all different kinds of thoughts, and that's okay. It's not the individual thoughts that are the problem. It's the deliberate actions that you are taking in the 3D and what you're choosing to sit in consciously. Things that you know you would not do if you were the you that had your manifestation. If we feel that we are in a placement of waiting for that manifestation to come, so you're going to put your life on hold until it manifests, that's not changing self either. Because new self, I'm assuming the self that you're choosing to become is the self that is fulfilled, happy, knows their worth. That version of you would not be putting life on hold. That version of you would be enjoying their life, going out and doing things, going out for a walk and taking in the scenery, the nature, and loving it. Or being able to happily just go out in life, sitting around doing activities that you enjoy. And not sitting and marinating about what you don't have and what you don't like. New self wouldn't be doing that. Again, this is not about getting you to be at a level of perfection that is not human. We're going to have all types of different thoughts that come into our mind, right? We don't have to be perfect. But we do authentically want the change. We do authentically want the desire and allow ourselves to have it. That we got to do. That's got to be a part of this. You want your desire more than you want to give in to your old, shitty, limited self habits. And I only use the social media one because that was something I did too. It's like that strange ass comfort blanket that we hold on to. If I check their social media every day and I don't see anything new that might trigger me, right? Because I don't want to see anything that's going to trigger me. If I don't see anything, then that gives me the permission to continue believing in manifestation. Or if SP is showing up favorably, if my 3D is favorable today, that gives me permission to trust that manifesting's working. That's not changing self. That's not you stepping into the new version of yourself or the new state of consciousness. That's not what you're doing. You're comforting yourself in a victim state. You are comforting yourself as the version of self that manifested you not being with your specific person. If we're still looking at life as too expensive, it's too expensive. Now, don't get me wrong. I too went through the struggle of the money manifestation. I went through that too. So I get it. But it's a habit. Being our old self, it feels like it's hard to break out of it. It's because they're all habits. They're all habits. The things we would do. The way we would complain about how expensive groceries are, or how expensive gas is, or how expensive, or maybe our rent went up, or the mortgage just, went up. All the things. How expensive medical bills are, how expensive, pharmaceuticals are. All of that. Sitting around with your work friends or your, family members or other friends and complaining about inflation. Complaining about how inflation's going up, but the paychecks aren't. I get it. If that's a part of your current reality, oh my God, I get it. But you're staying old self. That is a habit that needs to go. The only thing you got to do, yes, you have to, is let that old self go. That's it. That's the real key to manifestation. Saying goodbye to that identity. The version of you that would put up with disrespectful treatment from a person, a love interest person. The version of you that felt so shitty about your self-worth that you thought the best you could do was this piece of shit out in that 3D who has disrespected you from the moment you met them. Not having the wherewithal to return a text, return a call, pay for dinner once in a while, get their own ride to work. All the things that new self wouldn't put up with, wouldn't accept. All of that shit. When are we willing to stop the bad habits? When you're finally willing to let those bad habits go, you allow yourself to shift. You allow yourself to change. We cannot grip the old state of consciousness, the old version of ourselves. We cannot grip that and all its bad habits and expect to move into our new self, our new identity, the version of ourselves that has the manifestations. You have the power within you right now in this moment to let all that go, simply because your words carry weight. Your words are magical. They are infused with the power of God or the power of the universe. Your words. And that includes the words that you're thinking as well as saying out loud. You have that power right now. There's nothing else to wait for. You don't need to know another technique. You don't need to watch another video. You need to make a decision and stand in that decision with conviction, because your new life, the life that you're actually happy and love living and are fulfilled in all the areas of life, meaning your love life is amazing, your money life is amazing, your health life is amazing, your relationship with everybody else in your life is amazing. That version of you isn't waiting on anything, isn't putting things on hold, isn't having to deal with disrespectful lovers, isn't worrying about paying bills. That person, that version of you, that state is waiting on you. And you've got the power of the universe right here, right now, to decide today, I'm not going to give in to old self anymore. I'm not going to give in to those old habits, because that new juicy life, that new me sounds a lot more fun. And I want that more than I want old bullshit that feels comfortable in its own twisted way. Feels comfortable because you're used to being disappointed. You're used to being let down. You're used to things not going your way. I know it feels safer to expect the worst or accept the shit you shouldn't be accepting. It feels more comfortable to accept this because it's better than not having anything at all. Accepting things you know you don't have to, because it's better than having nothing. It feels safer to prepare yourself for the worst. That is your old conditioning. That is something that belongs to old self, the version of you you don't want to be anymore. Because you don't want that life. You do want change. You've got to be willing to do it. You only need to change self, and all you have to do is make that decision that I refuse to be old self. I refuse to entertain old self bullshit. I refuse. I refuse. Today, I'm not going to bitch when I got to pay a bill. I'm not going to bitch today. I'm not going to bitch. My body might get that yucky butterfly pit in my stomach because I'm so used to responding to writing checks that way. But I don't care. My body is in that physical 3D, so it will catch up too. It will catch up with my decision to be my new self. We don't have to use our body as the excuse to where we're going to start telling ourselves again that, oh my God, this still isn't working. I haven't changed. You're full of anxiety. You're worried about all the specific details you want to manifest, and in your whole body is all worked up and afraid that maybe you're not impressing your subconscious good enough. Listen, that feeling of anxiety will go as you continue choosing new self. Your word is the power of God. Your word is God's word. The things that you desire, including the people you desire, is coming to you because there's a version of you experiencing it. You're allowed to have what you want. You only don't have what you want in this 3D because you have believed you are this limited version of yourself. You have been in the habit of being a limited, logical, literal thinking self. You will find within this deep of yourself all things to be divinely possible. Everything in the world which you can conceive of being is to you, within this present formless awareness, a most natural attainment, meaning your consciousness. The invitation given us in the scriptures is to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord. The body being your former conception of yourself, and the Lord, your awareness of being. This is what is meant when Jesus said to Nicodemus, ye must be born again, for except ye be born again, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. That is, except you leave behind you your present conception of yourself and assume the nature of the new birth, you will continue to outpicture your present limitations. If we don't stop the bullshit of our old self, the habits of old self, if we don't start deciding to be the new version of self, the version of you that's living their damn best life, you're going to keep manifesting the shit you don't want. That's what he's talking about. The only way to change your expressions of life is to change your consciousness, for consciousness is the reality that eternally solidifies itself in the things round about you. Man's world in its every detail is his consciousness outpictured. You can no more change your environment or world by destroying things than you can your reflection by destroying the mirror. Your environment and all within it reflects that which you are in consciousness. As long as you continue to be that in consciousness, so long will you continue to outpicture it in your world. Knowing this, begin to revalue yourself. Man has placed too little value upon himself. In the book of Numbers, you will read, in that day there were giants in the land, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. and we were in their sight as grasshoppers. This does not mean a time in the dim past when man had the stature of giants. Today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions round about you have attained the appearance of giants, such as unemployed, the armies of your enemy, your problems, and all the things that seem to threaten you. Those are the giant that make you feel yourself to be a grasshopper. But you are told you were first in your own sight a grasshopper, and because of this, you were to the giants a grasshopper. In other words, you can only be to others what you are first to yourself. Therefore, to revalue yourself and begin to feel yourself to be the giant, a center of power, is to dwarf these former giants and make of them grasshoppers. All the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the armies of heaven and among all the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, nor say unto him, what dost thou? This being spoken of is not the orthodox God sitting in space, but the one and only God, the everlasting Father, your awareness of being. So awake to the power that you are, not as man, but as your true self, a faceless, formless awareness, and free yourself from your self-imposed prison. Your self-imposed prison. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. My sheep hear my voice and I know them and they will follow me. Awareness is the good shepherd. What I am aware of being is the sheep that follow me. So good a shepherd is your awareness that it has never lost one of the sheep that you are aware of being. We can't stay as old self and expect our life to change. You can't sit in bitching about your bills, bitching about inflation, bitching about being a broke-ass bitch and still identifying as a broke-ass bitch and expect you to manifest millions. You've got to let that go, those old shitty habits. You cannot expect that your specific person is going to show up and choose you and marry you and do all the wonderful things that you're desiring if you still think you're an ugly bag of shit who's never going to have a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. Or that specific person is never going to change, and you're still sitting in all the things that they've ever done wrong to you. You cannot stay old self and expect change. You've got to be the change. You've got to do it, and it doesn't have to be hard. The doing is simply being, identifying as, simply using your words, I am new self. You get to define what new self is. New self is different to all of us. You get to choose what new self is. So what do you want your life to look like? What do you want to feel about your life? What does a day in your new self life look like? How does it feel to be your new self? Don't use that limited logical excuse of, well, I don't know because I've never had these things, so I don't know what it feels like. Yes, you do. That desire is within you. You chose to make the decision of, I want that. I want that thing. I want that relationship. I want that person. I want that money. I want that health, because you believe it is going to make you feel a particular type of way. So therefore, you know how it feels to have it. You are the person directing how it's going to feel. So no more literal, logical excuses for anyone today. Leave the old shit habits. Leave them. Leave them with your old state of consciousness, your old self, and declare right in this moment, and you leave it in the comments, I am my new version of self. I refuse to be old self. I am full, limitless, flawless consciousness. That's who I am. And I am in the complete knowing that I'm having every single thing I desire. And I can be as specific as I want, and I will surely experience it. That's who I am. you claim that and you put it in them comments so I can see it all. And on that note, I'll see you tomorrow.